Next, we move on to music publishing. Music publishing have a lot of main devotions. They will produce and license the production of printed music. They will find new and talented songwriters and composers whilst encouraging them and supporting them as they develop their skills. They will also monitor and track the use of the music that the artist owns, ensuring that proper payment is made for all licensed uses. This means they will make royalty payments to songwriters and composers in respect of the usage of their music. They will also take appropriate action against anyone using music without the necessary license. There are two types of copyright that the music publishers will use to maintain that the artist and composer's music is used legally. The first one is the traditional C in a circle copyright. This is the most common form, and it applies to the composition, the musical score, the lyrics, as well as any artwork or cover designs. The second type of copyright applies directly to the sound recording itself, and is signified by the less common, but still just as important, P in a circle. A recent example of this being put into action was the case of whether Pharrell Williams and Robin Thicke's 2013 song Blurred Lines was a copy of Marvin Gaye's 1977 song Got to Give It Up. A jury found the two songwriters guilty of copying the song and ordered them to pay $7.3 million of the song's estimated $16 million in profits to Gaye's children. This is a good example of how the royalty tracking can really come in handy to an artist and a composer. Let's now talk about the A&R department. The A&R department is the department responsible for signing new talent, suggesting collaborations, pitching songs, and providing creative support. Whilst there are many success stories in the A&R department, nowadays it's becoming much more challenging for musicians. The musicians and their managers who do not have a pre-established relationship with the gatekeepers have always had a frustrating challenge to have their music considered for new deals. It takes out time, effort and money to find available deals and opportunities, and then even more effort to pursue them, follow them up, and calling in favours, networking and building relationships just to get a song heard with only a sliver of a chance that it's actually going to be securing a deal. What doesn't help is that the A&R representatives that bands and managers will meet with are not allowed to write the contracts themselves. They will present the band with a letter of intent or a deal memo. This will loosely state some terms and will confirm that the band will sign the label once a contract has been agreed on. The only problem is, if the band doesn't sign, the A&R department will just move on to another band, and they could lose that opportunity of a record deal or a publishing deal immediately. There are a few cons when talking about music publishing. One is the fact that you and your songs aren't always the priority. The idea of having your song heard all around the world is really comforting and sounds great, but the reality is that in most publishing companies this will not happen. There are so many more signed artists and songwriters that your song probably won't get heard. This is why it's important to get a music publishing company that is actually dedicated towards you. The other is the fact that the industry can lie to you just to get you to sign a publishing contract. As a songwriter, you need to understand that even though they say your song's good, it might not be. You need to make sure that you're confident that your song is good enough. Use resources like song critics, songwriting organisations, and your songwriting peers to get good constructive feedback on your material. Don't just sign with a publisher because they tell you you're good. Once you have a good publishing contract, they will try and promote you as much as they can. They might do this through selling your songs to TV and film, or maybe even to apps and games. If a film or television company or radio wants to play your song, your publisher will contact the Performing Rights Society. The Performing Rights Society for music represents members' performing rights whenever a piece of music is performed or played in any public space or place outside of the home. This includes TV, radio, online, in a shop, an office, pub or restaurant, at a concert, a sporting event, and thousands of other places. When your song is played, performing rights are paid to you, the songwriter, or composer or publisher. Let's go on to live performance. The four key areas of live performance are the agent, the promoter, the tour manager, and the merchandise. The agent, or sometimes known as a booking agent, is responsible for finding venues for a band's live appearances. This could be the local pub or a stadium arena depending on the size of the artist. The manager will normally negotiate with the agent on quite a regular basis, as the agents can also book or organise whole tour venues. An agent also may want a free hand in choosing the promoter. The promoter is responsible for the actual booking of venues, and also the selling of the tickets. Like the agent, the promoter may deal direct with the manager and the artist. This is probably the most financial risky element of the live performance. The tour manager is responsible for the artists on tour. They may hire the road crew and pay them, will have to ensure punctuality and behaviour of all personnel, and may have to book hotels and deal with related issues. They will also arrange day-to-day transport and organise the getting in and set down of each gig. This means they may have to take responsibility for the merchandising at the gig. The merchandising may be franchised, but most bands now see this as another form of income, not just for the publicity itself. The merchandising is a good way of promoting the band's size and fan base. One of the key elements of a live performance is making sure that the artist is happy when he's performing. This means that the fans and the audience will also be happy. Sometimes the artist may want to supplement their tour with additional musicians or singers. The tour manager will usually be the one who arranges the contract and pays for these musicians and singers themselves. However, this can also be a risky gesture, as the money and the income for those extra musicians and performers can go a bit awry. If a musician is going on tour, they need to make sure that their tour agreements are extremely clear, for example as to when someone is working and when it is unpaid leave. A good example is the Elvis Costello case. Thomas was employed by Elvis Costello as a musician to perform on the European tour with him as part of his band. He was also going to do the US tour, but that was with a separate contract. Costello was also employing Thomas through his service company, Elvis Costello Limited. The tour had breaks in it between countries in Europe when Thomas's services were not required. Therefore, Thomas took a 7-day break between the UK and US tours, and then put in a claim for payment. When he didn't get paid, he applied to the court to liquidate Costello's company for insolvency, i.e. being unable to pay its debts when they fell due. He was declined, but the court did order that Thomas be paid on the basis that the court did think it was part of the European tour. It is also not only the band or the musician that can lose out on money. Another example is the promoter. Because it is usually within the contract to establish a guaranteed minimum, if the promoter does not sell a single ticket, he or she will have to still pay the band, which means the promoter will often lose money on live gigs. However, the British live music industry is a global leader. The O2 Arena in London sold more music tickets in 2014 to date than any other venue in the world. The Phones 4u Arena in Manchester and Glasgow's SSE Hydro are also in the top 3 venues in the world by this measure. England makes so much money from the live performance that even if there are some troubles within the payment of promoters or tour managers, they can be sorted with ease. In the UK, we have many festivals which you can go to and are extremely popular. Examples like the Green Man Festival, the V Festival, Reeds and Leading Festival, most notably Glastonbury. These are attended by thousands upon thousands of people each year. The good thing about festivals is that it leads to happy memories and experiences that you can tell your friends. You also get to see your favourite bands and artists performing live on stage. Unfortunately, some people are a bit disinterested by sometimes the cramped spaces